You've got the right stuff, but now you've got to take that next step into history. And Trump needs to go ahead and put down $100 million, $200 million, $300 million, and then shame all these other people in to coming and doing that to crush Hillary Clinton. I mean, I know this. I will give, of what I meagerly have saved as just emergency backup, a lot more money to super PACs, you name it, if I see Trump commit to the next level. And Trump needs to sell buildings, sell golf courses. He needs to go into trust funds. He needs to go in. None of that's going to be there when you're dead, bro, and you know that. And you need to really go to the next level and just dump it. You need to dump it. I mean, if I was you, I would do that immediately. So do it. Dump the money in. You are now in a death battle with the globalists. I'm going to skip this network break and go to Paul Joseph Watson. Paul, you've heard my points on this subject. I mean, people can sit there and say Trump needs to, not hire anybody from the Republican Party to run things. Well, that's like saying don't hire anybody that has a nuclear physics degree, an engineering degree, and a nuclear chemical degree to run a nuclear power plant. I mean, or that's like, if I was going into New Guinea and I wanted a guide to make a documentary about cannibals, I would go hire one of the local chiefs and, pay him to be my guide so I'd be safe. And I'd also get the inside scoop on, where they shrink the heads. And they all know Trump is hiring them to use them, which isn't a bad term. I mean, he's hiring them, They all know which end is up. They all know he's the alpha dog. That's why they're sabotaging him, not joining him. I mean, this is just such proof that he's floundering, unable to raise money, won't take money from the big guys. They won't give it, even if they pledge it. Because, we pledge $100 million and Gingrich loves you. I'm Adelson. I'll give you $200 million. Just do what I want. He meets with them and comes out and then doesn't get the money. Adelson may give a couple million, for this or that, just to hurt Trump because people know he's really working with Hillary. I mean, Paul, you just heard my gestalt there. What do you think of it?
True patriot. Well, I mean, it would be completely naive to suggest that they wouldn't try and infiltrate this. I mean, it's the same process we've seen after Brexit. As soon as it happened, I said, watch what they're going to do. They're going to try and put globalists in there to infiltrate this, to sabotage this, to throw it off course. So it's no surprise that they're doing that with Trump. But he did just come out with a big speech. Drudger's got the big red headline up there. And again, he's come out and said, we're going to get out of the TPP. Hillary's a globalist.
Paul, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the religion of peace is struck again. They'll probably blame it on the Tea Party. Reuters is reporting 2 explosions in Istanbul, formerly Constantinople. The airport's been hit, multiple injuries, Turkish officials. So the religion of peace has struck again. Sorry, Paul.
Well, that's, again, no surprise given that, Turkey's helped ISIS along the way. They're getting some blowback from it. But as I said, it's just like this post-Brexit process. They're going to try and sabotage it. The globalists aren't going to go quietly into the night. They're going to do everything within their power to try and derail this populist revolt, which is what it is. But his speech that he just gave, again, he's put Hillary on the rack for being a globalist. He's directly confronted the globalists. So despite his meetings with, Richard Haas and Henry Kissinger, he's maintained the course. He hasn't switched his allegiance from everything he said.
Sure, and then Haas and Kissinger have come out and endorsed Hillary.
Yeah. So obviously he has to play to a certain extent by their rules to beat them at their own game. I mean, you can't expect him to be some, fringe candidate that's not going to follow the track that he needs.
He's got to play by their rules to beat them at their game.
Exactly. But, if he follows up on his rhetoric, then that's the proof is in the pudding. We have to take that risk because we know what we're going to get with Hillary. We know the devil is in the details, so at least we need to give Trump a chance. Because from everything that he said and everything that he's done so far, he stands in direct opposition to the globalists who are trying to derail him at every point.
And again, the Bushes and the Clintons vacation together. Hillary vacations with Kissinger. Ooh, how gross. All those pedophiles and scum. I'm just so sick of them, man. The pedophile planes and the Clintons. God help us, man. What do you think of the left just worshiping this demon woman?
Well, it's completely par for the course. I mean, what was it? Half of Bernie Sanders supporters said they wouldn't vote for her. I bet that number's not that high when push comes to shove. But I mean, look at what Soros is saying today. This is what I wanted to cover. Brexit vote must be overturned or the European Union is doomed. So he's saying that this democratic vote by the majority of the British people must be annulled. He's now openly saying that.
This is a freakish Nazi collaborator that literally has an oxygen tank and a white cat still crawling around stirring up trouble. I mean, just Soros, crawl in the grave, put some dirt on it, and go away.
He's openly advocating and legitimizing this petition that has been completely ridiculed. This petition for a second referendum. Okay, 25,000 people from North Korea signed it. A bunch of 4chan trolls signed it. The Electoral Commission says it's completely fraudulent. They're not even going to consider it. Cameron came out and said, no, we're not going to consider it. And he's still pushing this ridiculous petition from all these virtue signaling leftists who didn't even bother to turn up to vote in the first place. That shows how desperate they are to sabotage Brexit. It's an ongoing process, and that's what we need. We need to keep holding their feet to the fire because the battle is not over on this.
And Paul, I was given this article an hour ago, but I fall into my own trap. I criticize our reporters for never reporting on what we're doing or thinking of InfoWars as something important, even though we're cutting edge, obviously. But Kit Daniels brought me this article. I read the actual quotes. It's insane, but it's really what they're doing. Didn't even cover it last hour. Mexican president demands U.S. merge with Mexico, Canada. EU-style North American Union, that's a quote, would kill U.S. national sovereignty. He has tweeted out that we must merge and create a union. Yeah, so we can have corrupt Mexican officials merging with ours, making decisions for us. And look, under these trade agreements, many of which haven't been ratified, they're making these deals already, just like the EU, without us voting on it. Paul Joseph Watson. That's on Infowars.com. I mean, this is crazy.
Well, what did you see with the EU? As soon as Brexit happened, they doubled down. They said, we're going to take away any remaining sovereignty you have, because they're panicking at this domino effect that we're going to see in France, that we're going to see in the Netherlands and other countries. And now that Germany, the AfD party in Germany, which is the big conservative party that's had a lot of electoral success recently, they've come out and said they want a Dexit, an exit poll for Deutschland. And the response is, well, Hitler abused national referendums, so we're not going to allow you to do that. So because
since Hitler had referendums, it's like if Hitler ate sausage, he was a vegetarian, but let's say Hitler ate tomatoes, you can't ever have tomatoes now. And because Hitler once voted in an election, you can't vote. This is the new political correctness.
Literally the most anti-intellectual reason you could think of.
Who said that?
Godwin's law. Just invoke Hitler.
Who said that?
It's completely ludicrous. And then the other aspect is, again, today we've got these virtue signaling leftist morons, these authoritarian trendies, out on the streets of Trafalgar Square in London protesting against democracy. They're out there on the streets with racist signs saying, old white people need to die. This whole post-Brexit thing has been about the dumb, stupid millennials who know absolutely nothing.
No, it's all these trendy women literally in tutus saying old whites need to die, I love Islam. Like that woman we have crying going, I'm a feminist, I love Islam. These are mental patients.
Yeah, while the Vote Leave supporters are being blamed for these isolated racist incidents, like someone telling someone to go back to Africa on a bus. If the British people were half as outraged as they are at that, about the Rotherham sex scandal, 1,400 young girls abused by Muslim rape gangs. Again, it was hardly in the media. Police covered it up.
Hey, most people were really nice to me in Mexico, but I was wearing a shirt that had a little Texas on it, and a guy said, oh, you're from Texas, that's Mexico, go back. And I laughed at him, and then he said something kind of friendly as I walked off. But, I mean, imagine if I had a whole news article, I was in Mexico, and he said, go back to Texas.
Well, Alex, you think that these anti-Trump protesters are dumb when we've talked to them and, Aid Skrillex, Cole the Cook, the older black guy who was debating the 16-year-old Trump supporter and said that Trump's wife was an illegal immigrant. You ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, we've got the most amazing footage. I'm going to do a video on it tomorrow. I've literally found footage where a 22-year-old girl in Britain is crying her eyes out because she thinks that the Brexit vote will result in Nando's, which is a restaurant chain based out of South Africa. It will result in Nando's immediately closing all their restaurants.
Oh, my God. So she has no idea that a chain can come anywhere at once and just pay the fee and start a chain.
Exactly. And again, tons of other videos.
So she thinks the euro allows her to have McDonald's and Nando's.
Yeah. Again, they actually think that we're leaving the continent of Europe. You've got leftists on video saying, oh, I will have to now pay to travel to France. The government's not going to pay for me to travel to France anymore. They think that all the food from Europe is just going to stop coming in. All the restaurants that aren't British are going to close.
No,
we're leaving.
You just will be able to make your own laws, and you'll be able to make your own laws and have the EU make the laws. Go back for me, though, because I want to do a video on this. Who in the government is saying Hitler had referendums, so we can't have them?
This is the German government. The headline is, now far-right demands Dexit poll for Deutschland, but referendums are banned because Hitler abused Poles. It's an article in the Daily Mail.
Wait, the referendums are banned in Germany because Hitler did?
That's what the article says, yeah. It's out of the Daily Mail. It's
so direct democracy is banned because Hitler used it once. So that means all other elections have to be banned because Hitler got elected. And yes, folks, he got elected.
Absolutely amazing that what they're resorting to. The other thing we've heard, and this is what Soros is talking about again, they're claiming that everyone who voted Leave in the United Kingdom has buyer's remorse. And now because they regret it, that means we should have another referendum. Complete nonsense. You look at the polls, more people who voted Remain are happy. Only 1% of people who voted Leave are unhappy. So it's 4-1. It's complete BS, yet they're pushing this claim that everyone regrets it. They're just dumb, stupid. Again, it's this arrogant elite.
All right, Paul, I'm turning things over to you, and I'm sorry to the callers. I can't get to you. Paul, if you want to take calls, that's fine. If not, let us know. Paul Watson taking over. Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock Central. Incredible news posted at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now. Please spread to everybody you know and spread the link, Infowars.com/show. And the Hillary for President shirts are back in a new design.
We're back on the fourth hour live of the Alex Jones Show. Later in this segment, we're going to play a report from Faith Goldy. Now, they received emails at the Rebel Media from a school in Canada that has admitted Syrian refugees to a high school. They're 22 years old. They have full beards. They're well built. They're hitting on 14 and 15-year-old girls. They're praising terrorist attacks. This is the cultural enrichment that we're now importing. And again, the school has done absolutely nothing about it. Finally, these emails have been released. But again, due to concerns over political correctness, they're just letting 22-year-old grown men, catcall 14 and 15-year-old girls. Absolutely ludicrous situation. We're going to get to that report. But as I was talking about before the break, you had a bunch of clueless leftist virtue-signaling morons descend on Trafalgar Square in London today to protest against democracy. Now, here's what's funny about this. The rally was initially cancelled because police feared overcrowding. They thought that over 50,000 people were going to turn up. The problem with that was that they were basing it off of Facebook. So 50,000 people said they were going to show up on Facebook. You actually look at the pictures, it's in the hundreds. It's 300-400 people actually turned up because these people are nothing more than virtue signalers. They care more about looking progressive and trendy in front of their Facebook friends than they actually do bothering getting up off their butts and voting. I mean, look at the Brexit referendum. 36%, only 36% of people in the 18 to 24-year-old category actually voted. 64% in that age group did not vote. So you've got 36% compared to 72% national turnout. And they have the gall, they have the temerity to claim that this doesn't represent Britain. Here's the message. Only 36% of you bothered to vote. Whining on Facebook doesn't count. Who knew? Again, these are people living in London swank pads, paid for by their rich parents. And now they're out there, again, subverting democracy, saying that this democratic referendum should just be annulled because suddenly they're not happy about it because a lot of their friends had a hissy fit on Facebook. Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't count for jack. If you don't bother to get off your butt, go to a polling station, You know, in most cases, it's literally across the road from people. But they don't care. They don't actually care about